Hello and good morning. So I was planning on doing a quick energy check-in for the collective for the moon in Taurus. Um, but Spirit had other things in mind, and I immediately had two cards pop out of the deck, and it just left me with more questions. I was like, what is this about? I have to know. So the first card that came out is the Devil card. So in some cases, this can represent the shadow self. And for those of you that don't know, the shadow isn't like inherently a bad aspect of yourself or your personality. It's just maybe the parts of yourself that you perceive as bad, so you suppress them and push them down. And when you do that, when you suppress like parts of your personality and you push it down, they can kind of take over in your like subconscious mind and actions. So let's say that you have a desire to maybe like make a lot of money or something, but you're like spiritual or religious and you're like, no, that's bad. Like I shouldn't want that. So then that's going to start coming out in like really weird ways in your personality. Maybe you're going to hold a lot of judgment against people that have money, or you're gonna, you know what I mean, judge people's like motivations for making money, things like that. And the only reason you're doing that is because those people are acting as like a mirror as to like a trait that you actually like wish to express, but like you won't let yourself express. So the thing about suppressing parts of your personality and suppressing parts of yourself is inherently like it's highlighting a sense of like a lack of awareness about yourself. So that can be a little bit dangerous because it's almost like you're like pointing like the finger like in the wrong direction, when it's like you really should be pointing the finger inward. You start to think that everybody else around you has a problem, but really it's just like this part of you that desperately wants to be like integrated, that is ultimately trying to serve you and your higher purpose. Another thing that came up that could be represented in this card, and it's probably not the traditional meaning, but I want to say that it could also represent like an event that happened to you that could be perceived as negative, something that was maybe like devastating or just unwanted. And the reason I'm bringing that up, I actually had to pause the video real quick because my coffee machine started cleaning itself, which I always find very disturbing because it is very loud and I never know when it's going to happen. It just starts happening. But I want to say that the coffee machine is like confirmation that, yeah, whatever this is something just like, it's like an unwanted disturbance, kind of like hanging out in your like psychic or auric field, and it's something yet that you're just like, I just don't really know like what to do with this energy. It's just bothering me and I don't want it to be there. And the other reason that I thought this might be the case as well is because the next card, it came out simultaneously with the Devil card. Actually, the card that I pulled is the Magician. So this is like, this is good. Essentially, it is just saying that you have the full ability to transmute whatever circumstance that this is that you perceive as bad. And if you decide to, you could actually totally flip it on its head, where you think something that has like put you in a disadvantage can actually in a way like be your greatest strength. Whether that is like pain that you feel inside that you decide to turn into an art project, or something that happened that like irked you and now you want to make sure that other people aren't going through that circumstance, or you want to like create awareness around something to put more like positive change in the world. Like this is just telling you that you're like totally capable of doing it. I'm trying to decide if I want to pull another card because I do feel like that is very straightforward. So just give me a minute. Okay, so I want to say that it's possible that this possibility of turning something negative into a positive is like already in your awareness, but you still feel this like weight of frustration. You're like, yeah, but I just really can't like get over that thing, whatever it is. So I'm gonna pull another card for that. Just anything that Spirit wants to tell us that would be like an additional motivational boost of how to overcome the thing. How to like embody that change, to be less like actions you're taking to try and like transmute pain, and more like, yeah, but how do I like feel it? How do I feel it inside of my body? How do I deeply feel that what happened is actually for my greatest good? You know what I mean? Like, how do I do that? How do I do that internal work? Because sometimes this transmutation, it almost could feel like, yeah, these are things I'm doing in the external, but how do I overcome the internal? I'm gonna save this bottom of the deck card for a little bit later. How do you make that internal shift? Okay. Six of Swords. I got this card recently. Oh, baby girl. This is tough. This is tough. It's saying to start putting yourself out there. So this is the Six of Swords, and in the picture there's like a cicada who's like shedding. And when the cicada comes out of its shell, it hasn't developed that like hard exterior yet. So it's just telling me that like whatever you're overcoming, like you still feel very vulnerable, and it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time for that to heal. But the best thing that you could do is make sure not to like block yourself off from receiving love from like the outside. Because I know sometimes when we're hurt and we go into hermit mode, it's almost just like nothing feels safe, right? So you just block everything out. You're just like, whatever that is, like I don't want more of that in my life. You know what I mean? And that's like a necessary part of the process, is putting yourself in this little bubble so that you can heal. But eventually, once you've done the inner work, it's time to put yourself out there again, because that love that you're starting, maybe like just taking the baby steps of starting to like love yourself again, it's just so much more helpful if you could put yourself out there so that love can be like reflected to you. Just sometimes when you go through trauma, you tend to like fragment yourself, like in the Devil card, where you're like, these parts of me are unwanted and not good. These, you know what I mean? Like you just start to separate these parts of yourself. That thing that happened to me like wasn't good, and I don't want to be like related to that. But it's almost like, imagine you're cutting yourself off from like blood flow, right? It's like you start closing off blood flow, so it's like that part of you can never heal because you've fragmented or like segmented it, right? So maybe you cut yourself off from love from yourself, or maybe that also translates to the outside world, where you cut yourself off from love from other people. So it's just saying that it's time to just start letting the love in whatever way that is. I want to say, put yourself in spaces where your authentic self can shine, and that could be anything. Just like, say you're really into hiking, like join a hiking group. You're really into art, join like an art group. You know what I mean? Just like putting yourself in spaces where you feel more free to like explore your curiosities and like be yourself. And that's really going to help like heal this wound that you have. And I always like to point this out. I know the numbers have a lot of different meanings, but usually when I see 6, I understand that people associate it with harmony and balance, which is good, because I think once you put yourself out there, you will start experiencing more harmony and more balance in your life. All that inner work that you've been doing can finally be reflected back to you, like a pat on the back, like good job, like you did it. But I also want to say, like, 6 is like things aren't as they appear. So like in the case of whatever it is that happened to you and you're associating as a bad thing, and it might have like really, really impacted you in a very like deep, heavy way. Like you, like I said, it's almost like you can turn that into your greatest power. And the more that you zoom out from the situation that you might be hyper focused on, the more you can be like, wow, maybe even though this thing was terrible, like maybe it is serving my greatest good in some way. And you could be really far from seeing that right now, but it's just allowing yourself the possibilities as time goes on to be like, maybe my perception or my mindset will be different in the future than it is right now. And it's just being open to possibilities. Okay, so I had seen this in the bottom of the deck, and this is the Star card. And it's essentially just saying that, like, you might not feel it right now, and you might have difficulty with like your self-concept and self-love and just the way that you see yourself. But Spirit just wants you to know that like you are this shining star, and it is time to shine your light, and you were put here for a reason. And the more you tap into your like authentic interests and connect with people authentically, the more that light is going to be able to show. And the thing about this light is that the thing I want you to think about is that they say that, what is it? Like the light enters through the cracks. So like the pain that we experience, it's almost like it's giving us an opportunity to go deeper into ourselves, where we might have felt like very content. Don't do it, Pepper. That's my dog. Where we might have felt very content just kind of going through the motions, and then like the 3D world of like, these are my goals, this is the job that I want, like, you know what I mean, just focused on that stuff. And like something unexpected happened, and it forced you to really to just build some like internal strength to like get to know yourself anymore. And it could have like brought out aspects of yourself that already existed, this like new pain or event, or this trigger, I think is what I want to call it. It could just like remind you of parts and aspects of your personality that you forgot about, or maybe even that you didn't know were there. So it's just giving you a chance to just incorporate everything. So where you might have felt like this event was like very disruptive to you and your life goals and the things you had planned for yourself, I want you to keep in mind that before you came here, you planned something even greater than whatever it is that your ego mind came up with while you're here. And I'm not here to demonize the ego, it's very necessary, but you're just going to find that the more you tap into your authentic desires and you create goals related to like your authentic self, the more satisfying that is going to be, just like the more magical your life is going to be. And when you start to really realize what that is, you're also just going to have like unhindered flow into the direction that your life is supposed to go, right? So I think the last thing that I want to leave you with is just remember that everything happens for a reason. I know you might hate hearing that, but that is a resilient mindset, right? Turning something negative into a positive. And despite how frustrated you might feel in this moment, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, because you are taking the time for yourself to heal and to be reflective. And let me think. Yeah, I want to keep this reading short, so just 4 cards for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you did, I hope this video helped you. Please let me know in the comments if it resonated with you at all, I would just love to hear from you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.